how to build muscle and burn fat to get the body of your dreams. Hey team, and welcome to this week's episode of The Inspired Show, the show that is dedicated to helping you become the best version of yourself, mentally as well as physically. We've got a great episode for you today for anybody who wants a better looking body. But before we delve into it, if you've not done so already, hit that subscribe button. It's completely free to do, and it means you stay updated with every single episode we drop every single week. Smash a like on this video and let me know any big takeaways or any questions you've got specifically around your journey in the comments. And don't forget to share it with somebody who may benefit from this episode as well. Now, this episode, we're going to cover one of the most common questions I get asked. How do I build muscle and burn fat? It's the holy grail. Who wouldn't want a better looking body through burning body fat and having a more defined body? Now, let's break down the basics and then go through how you can achieve that. Now, in order to drop body fat, we must be in a calorie deficit. This basically means eating less food than your body needs. In order to build muscle, we need to be giving it a stimulus through weight training. We need to provide it with plenty of protein, rest and recovery, and in most cases, we need to be in a slight surplus. Now that we know those two things are polar opposites, this is how we achieve that. Now, this will depend on whether you're brand new to lifting weights or you're a bit more experienced. So we're gonna go into the newbies first. If you're in your first 6 to 12 months of training, you get this amazing thing called newbie gains. This is where the brand new stimulus of lifting weights for the first time is a big stimulus for your body. And your body's like, wow, what the hell's going on here? So whilst you're lifting weights, you can still be in a deficit and build some muscle whilst dropping body fat, providing you are giving yourself plenty of protein and you're training hard with progressive overload. Now, for most people, this is quite easily achieved in their first 6 months. Where it becomes a bit more challenging is when you're a bit more experienced. Once you've got more than 6 months of weight training under your belt, this is where it becomes very, very challenging to burn fat and build muscle. So we're gonna break down exactly how we do that. Now, from my experience personally and helping thousands of people over the last 15 years, the best way to do this is to split into phases. If you try and do both at the same time, what ends up happening is you're just spinning your wheels in the mud, not really losing any fat, not really building any muscle, and just getting frustrated with the whole process, which for a lot of people can leave them just giving up and not even trying whatsoever. So which should we start on first? Losing fat or building muscle? Well, the general rule of thumb is the leaner you are, the more primed you are to building muscle. So look at yourself in the mirror visually. Can you see the outline of your abdominals? If the answer is no, then your main focus initially should be a fat loss phase. This is where you prioritize that calorie deficit, being consistent with your daily movement to help with that. However, you still need to be lifting weights. Why? Because the goal in the fat loss phase is to maintain muscle that you've achieved from your newbie phase. This will help you keep your metabolism nice and high. It'll help you keep a more defined body as you're stripping the fat away. Now, once you get to the space of you've lost the fat you want, you can see your abdominals clearly, we then go into a dedicated building phase. This is where we transition out of a deficit, through to maintenance, into a slight surplus. Now, the surplus wants to be no more than 5%. Alongside that, we want to ensure we're consuming plenty of protein. A general rule of thumb for most people, when it comes to building muscle, is 1.6 to 2.2 grams per kilogram of body weight. With regards to training, the main focus should be progressive overload. With progressive overload, each and every week you want to be improving on weight, reps, or sets, making these minor improvements over time. Now, when you're in the building phase, this is not a small phase. For most people, it's going to be 6, 9, 12, maybe even 16 months. Because building muscle takes time, especially after that initial phase of your first 6 to 12 months. It's a slow process. Now, from a numerical point of view, you want to be looking at about half a pound a week. And the main aim is not to gain as much weight as possible, but to gain as much muscle as possible, whilst minimizing any fat gain. Now, throughout the course of your building phase, if you feel you are getting a little bit fluffy, which can happen from time to time, you can implement mini cuts of 2 to 4 weeks. This is where we do a short, sharp period in a deficit to trim back the fat a little bit before going straight back into the building phase. And you can do these numerous times over the 6, 12, 18-month period, depending on how long you commit to your building cycle. Once you get to a place where you feel you cannot build any more muscle, the weight isn't really going up, you aren't improving your lifts, That then, after a 6, 12, 18-month period, is an indication to go back into a fat loss phase where you trim away any unnecessary body fat you may have gained during the building phase to reveal the built muscle that you've got, and then you rinse and repeat. And when it comes to building muscle and burning fat, it will be a process. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take a few phases in order to help you achieve that. But I guarantee you, if you apply them in phases, rather than trying to do them both at once, then you see much better progress. Now, if you need help with this, don't forget to follow us on social media pages, download our free fat loss plan to get you started with your fat loss phase. And if you've got any questions, just reach out to me and I'll get back to you as soon as I possibly can.